And yes, episode 5. Can you believe it? I wonder how many people watch them all the way through. I could find that out actually. There's metrics in the back of YouTube. Do you bore yourself sometimes? You're talking, you're just chatting away and you're like, this is fucking boring, what are you talking about? Do you know I've been opening bananas wrong my whole life? Apparently you open them, you hang on to this bit, the sort of stick bit, and you actually open it from the top and you squeeze it and, I don't know, something. I said I was going to run through some plugins, and that is what I'm going to do. And I was thinking, what am I going to play when I go through these plugins? Because I'd like to have a plan. So I thought it might be a good idea to ask other people what song should I play, but I didn't think that that would take time because I have to learn the song that they said because I don't know every song. The winner, because I said put a song out, like suggest a song, and I'll pick the one that has the most likes, because then it's just sort of like a democracy. And what came back was Sledgehammer by Peter Gabriel. Mojave? Mojave. What is a Mojave? Mojave. What is Mojave? Does anyone ask what Mojave is? What is Mojave? Mojave. It's an operating system. So in 2018, I think Avid brought out this amazing feature in Pro Tools that enables you to collaborate with other people in the same session over the cloud. So old mate Steve's pissed off to Sydney and left this Sledgehammer thing on my desk. But you know, psyched, let's get into it. So this here is my switch on and go template, just to make it really easy to open it up and go for it. My default drum kit that I usually turn to is in the Metal Foundry, the Thomas Harks kit, or Uric Wilds. I've got Urics loaded right now. So I look at this like a 3-step process. So step number 1, you bang up the idea in Pro Tools. Step number 2, you whack it into the cloud. Step number 3, just play some bloody table tennis with your mate. Bang the song into shape. Over to you, pal. I can see what he's done here. He's got a few tracks. There's nothing in the session, but if I click the download button, it's actually going to download what he's created and populate the session with all his work, which is actually pretty bloody amazing. These are last little ones. I think that's it. That's the whole thing. I can hit the chat here. Good one, pal. Bada bing, bada bang. You know? Here we go. This is what Ro did. And now I'll show you what I've come up with. Now, trying to create realistic brass is a real hassle. Anyway, I'll show you what I've got in pieces here. So we've got the kit. I'm using Superior 3 for the kit. I've actually sort of, what do you call it, routed out the different pieces so I can affect individually, but I mean straight out of the box, I'm just experimenting with that. I'm not particularly good at it. Yeah, I just sort of like to have a little bit more control. I mean, but inside the program here, there's like more than enough stuff to mess with. But yeah, so I'm just playing around. So this is what it sounds like. Bass, which is I've just printed the audio, but I was using the Solemn Tones Loki bass, and I've put a Neural DSP dark glass pedal on there and used my old mate Forrester's preset. In the original recording, there's this sort of percussive thing, so I've used a blend of one of those Mr.Myagi things that get Daniel's son psyched up. I wish I could get psyched up by a little fucking drum with a cork on it like that. What else have I got? Just a metallic tambourine, and I think I've got a container of pills. I have this plug-in that you can mix it all together. Of course, the horns are pretty important. I did my best to try and create realistic sounding horns, and it drives me nuts because horns are really hard to get sounding real. Doubled that with strings and like an organ, like Hammond organ. Why it's hard, I suppose, is because I'm not a horn player and I have to manually put all the change in articulations over, so I've got to try and think what would be appropriate. Just listen to the recording, like that kind of sort of crescendo into the notes. I can't remember the term, it's Italian. Yeah, so you program all those things in there. The guitars, so I've been using Neural DSP plugins on guitars recently because a couple of reasons. One, Doug is a mate of mine and it's fucking awesome. So check this out. I look at guitars, I guess, holistically in the mix, because having it sounding awesome on its own is one thing, but kind of having it blend into the mix is another thing. And by the way, I don't usually mix, well, I never mix 12 Foot Ninja's music. I've been working with Forrester for the last few years, and I just kind of get it as close as I can, and then he takes over. He's a much better mixer than I am. I've also been messing with this new Waves plugin called Submarine, and it sort of brings a real bottom end to anything. Submarine, hence the name. So, and you can sort of set the frequency range here. Now, usually I would EQ out everything sort of up to about 50 hertz, because it sort of gets in the way. But I've just sort of been messing with it to try and get a bit of a fuller bottom end. I saw a video that Rabir did on this plugin, and I have to kind of echo something I think he said. You just kind of open it up and off you go. Like, it sounds bloody awesome. I didn't really have to do much tweaking. I got a very, very straightforward kind of tone stack here, gain, brightness, master and presence. I mean, it can't get easier than that. I actually put the compressor on. I know that distortion is compression in a way. I'm not using the full kahuna. I'm guessing these moons, they're moons down here. This is like a full moon. I actually prefer the crunchy vibe for what I'm doing because the guitars are so low. And I've just pretty much loaded up this very first preset, Electric Sunrise Crunch. I've messed with a couple of things and I feel like... Another thing I've been doing is this kind of EQ, and I've been using this EQ kind of live as well in the Helix. I set it up as a global setting. Like I said before, I'm cutting out this range here, the low end, at about 50 hertz. I'm cutting the top range at about, 6 K, around about that. This little notch that I'm dropping out here is just a honky sound I didn't like. This is a great EQ, by the way. This is a Waves Q10 equalizer. I use that a lot because it's just super simple. So what I'll do often is grab like a guitar part, and I'll just sort of loop it, and then I'll bring this notch up and just filter back and forth until I sort of sculpt the sound, I guess. The other thing you can do is in the actual plugin, you've got an EQ as well, and I was messing with that before. I haven't really messed with the speaker cab because I think it sounds good. But what is cool is you can virtually kind of move the mics around, and you've got a selection of mics here. If you're used to miking up cabinets with a 57 or whatever, you can do that, or you can load in your own impulse responses. It's all bloody cool, isn't it? And then you've got delay and reverb. So this has got a bit of verb. I might actually turn that verb off. Put it in context with the bass. We could add that Submarine. I haven't bothered with the velocity on that lick with the MIDI bass. In context of the mix, you kind of don't notice it. So, and yeah, this was actually really cool. The funk part in the original has a very kind of strat sound. To me, it sounds like in between the middle and bridge pickup. What I did, I just loaded up the very first model here. Is that the full moon? And that's the darkness. Makes sense. That's the full moon, the bright. So it's bright, and I've backed the gain off and just got kind of a cool sound just on the funk part. It's just kind of vamping on an E flat note. And I've really taken out a lot of the low and mids, and it's just kind of poking through because in context, it's great for funk, getting a really kind of sort of spanky tone out of that. One thing that I found really cool is this Infected Mushroom plugin. It's called the Pusher. I think it works well with techno kind of stuff or electronic music, but I like it on the kicks because I kind of like that clicky yet buffy and clicky kind of kick. Today's shit squiggle is from none other than Robert Holmes, ruler of the 12-Foot Ninja Fanatics page. All right, mate. I hope I can turn this into something good. I think I have an idea. It's a dude getting sucked into a vacuum cleaner. It's kind of shit, so suck shit. All right. Well, this shit show it was a fucking shit show. Took way too long. Anyway, is this cold? This will be cold. Oh, tastes like a puddle. Hit subscribe. Tell your fucking friends. Stay shit.